Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Permanent Public Building Committee, Monday, June 27th. We have, for the agenda, we have three main topics, and we will start tonight with, as usual, we'll start with the approve the minutes. I believe we have a quorum. Do I hear a motion to approve the last meeting minutes?
So moved.
Thank you. And any questions, notes? Do we need a second? Or was that the second, Richard?
I'll second.
I think I moved it. So second, someone seconded it.
Thank you, Aaron. Okay. Okay, great. No questions? Okay, let's go to the vote. We'll do the roll call, given the Zoom meeting. Richard,
Aye.
Erwin,
Aye.
Lynn,
Aye.
chair is aye as well. Okay, great. All right, so we'll move to the main topics tonight, which is the Emery Grover to start with. Should I turn that over to you, Hank?
Yes, and I'll be trading a football with Ken.
Let me get the, where is my, I had it open, Emery Grover survey schedules. Where's my?
And Michael,
Oh,
you're
for
here
pity's
for
sake.
the user group, correct? Is Ann going to join us too, or not?
Yeah, Ann is in North Carolina, I believe. So she's
Okay.
away this week.
She's away tonight.
Yeah.
Well, Ken, while you're trying to get that up, we have,
Can everyone see that?
No,
No,
see nothing.
no. I got nothing. There we go. I don't know why it's showing up as a
We're saying something now.
different document, but anyway. Yeah, that's it. For some reason, it's on my screen as a survey, but that's okay. All right,
You want to
There
shrink
we
it
go.
down a little bit? There you go. Yeah, that's good.
shrink it
That's
down a
good for everybody
little bit.
else.
How's that? Okay. We posted the ads for the pre-quals for contractors and subcontractors. One of the things we need to do, as Hank had mentioned previously, is we need to have a subcommittee appointed for approving the list that Hill will be coming up with. They're going to check the references and rank the bidders. And then they'll send that list to us, and then we will have a subcommittee, which will likely be myself, someone from the user group, someone from the committee, and somebody from Hill. Will be sitting on that. to go
Ken, hold
through
on one
and
second. I'm
approve the-
confused. Are we combining Hillside renovation and the Emery Grover topics?
no,
Nope, this is for, the only thing we have for Hillside is, it's not on here, but I'll be reviewing the Hillside schedule. But this
Okay,
is,
so sorry,
this
then
is strictly,
go back to the Emery
this
Grover. I guess I
agenda right
missed
here
the
is strictly,
point here.
we put out the ads for for qualifications for in statement of interest for the filed sub bids and the
Okay,
general contractors.
okay.
So we need we basically need a committee volunteer to serve on the subcommittee. Don't break down the doors altogether.
Yeah,
now.
I'm happy to do it. I thought that actually Stuart volunteered to do that last week, so I'm happy to do it if required.
Yeah, I can do it if need be.
I'd like to be a part of that as well.
was that Michael?
Barry.
See, now you have everybody. Goes Barry.
That was Barry, okay.
So we'll be looking to do that around the 4th or 5th of August. And bring it to the full committee on the 8th, the meeting on the 8th.
Okay.
And then we'll notify the bidders on the 11th of August. So the
Okay.
responses are due, as you can see, they're 7/21. And then Hill will do their thing and get them to us, and we'll set up a meeting on the 4th or 5th, somewhere in that time frame, for the subcommittee to approve.
So Hank, do you need one of the two of us to be on that or not? I mean, that's,
No, as long as at least Lynn or
okay, that's fine. I just wanted to make sure.
you do not have to be on it. We will have one member from the architecture team, and we'll have one person from the OPM. So from Hill, and along with Ken. So we actually have more than we need, but one of those people has to be a town resident and on the committee. So
Can Deborah double dip by being architect rep and town rep?
oh, no, I don't think so.
No, oh yeah, that probably wouldn't work.
And I don't know if Deborah wants to have somebody else from BH+A sit on the committee. It's really up to them.
Instead of me, if I could find somebody, I might, but probably not worth asking. Let me see.
Yeah.
You get,
To offer something up.
Um,
well, they get to come to Needham, Deborah.
Yeah. Will there be baked goods involved? That might do it.
Well, I could go to Starling Bakery in Situate Harbor and pick something up.
But I think is there really a conflict for you, Deborah, if you're not doing anything on the town side relative to this?
I don't know. That's somebody else have to answer that question. I
So
mean,
Ken and Hank, do you see, I mean, it's not,
no, I think we need to have somebody from the committee, which could be Michael, could be you, could be Lynn.
yeah, it's fine. I'm happy to do it, but I guess my question is, but from the architect group, we want somebody in there, correct?
Yes, somebody has to be from the architect group.
Okay, so the point was raised, the question was raised whether there's a conflict here.
No, that's not a conflict.
Okay.
No, it would be a conflict if you tried to say Deborah was the committee rep. That wouldn't work. Just because she lives in Needham. It has to be one of you guys.
or
One
you,
of
if
you.
somebody needs to live in Needham, but whoever's on the committee lives in Needham.
Right,
That's
exactly.
fine.
So,
That's
okay.
fine. I'm happy to do the review.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so as we get closer there, that last week in July, we'll be sending out an invite to set up the meeting. And once Hill International does their rankings for us. Give Hank and I a couple days to just go through it, and then we'll take the next step.
Yeah, I think like.
Any questions there with that prequel?
No, I think if my sense is if we get something, you're saying 4th, 5th, we can maybe meet on the 5th in preparation for the meeting of the 8th of August.
Correct.
We'll agree on the list that Hill gives us with the rankings and all. And then bring it to the full PBBC on the 8th.
Yep.
For their
Okay,
review
so-
and approval, so that all the qualified bidders can be notified on the 11th. And then the schedule picks up from there. And as we get to the next meeting or two, we can review the bidding schedule and everything. Remember, the idea is we're trying to get the bids in time to have them for town meeting in October, so that we can go to town meeting with the actual numbers and adjust the award amount as necessary.
Okay.
All right.
There's
One of the-
there's not a date. The October town meeting isn't set yet, though. Is it?
Well, we have been working on the October 24th date.
Okay.
Making that assumption.
Okay.
And I haven't heard, because we did need to reset our schedule.
Yeah.
When FinCom asked that we have bids in hand.
Yeah.
So we needed a target date, and that's our current target date. I don't think it can be any earlier than that from our perspective.
Right.
Well, we know that, the select board know that.
Well, we'll
it-
discuss that further with Kate.
And it
Yeah,
sounds like,
they're the ones who set the special town meeting.
right.
And I'm
It's-
imagining they're not going to do it,
Right.
now, but
Well, everyone, all the committees have been aware that that's sort of the target date.
Okay.
So hopefully they all keep that in mind, but that doesn't mean people don't have, selective memories.
Well, I think we could rule out Halloween, which I believe would be the following Monday. So,
Yeah.
So at least we either, it's either going to be the 24th or November. So sounds like.
just as long as someone has
Right.
talked to
Yeah.
Kate for the select board that they are like explicitly have that in their minds.
And 2 weeks, 2 weeks before that would be the holiday.
Mhm.
The 10th, I believe it is. So there's only a few Mondays there in October that would be available anyways. And if it goes to the end of November, so be it. That'll push our actual construction schedule off a little bit by the time, because we wouldn't be able to award as soon, but it wouldn't affect our being able to get the bids in hand.
Catherine, are you able to get George in? It looks like he's on the attendee side. Looks like he's got his hand up either to ask a question or get
Okay, I'll
him
promote
in.
him as a panelist. He should be able to come in now.
Okay, there is he in?
There he is.
There he is.
He's coming in. Okay.
Hi, George. You're on mute and your camera is quiet. I don't know if you have a question, George. You'll need to unmute, George.
Hear me now.
I can hear you now, George.
Good. For some reason, I had to come in a different way because I didn't, normally I just have to click the link, Catherine, but it didn't take me to Zoom. And I've been using Zoom like every other day the last few weeks. For some reason, it didn't. I had to go back and re-enter. But anyway, I'm here now. Question that I have, if we're trying to save some time, why are we waiting 3 days after the PBBC review and approval? Why can't we just let them know the next day? Like the 9th?
We can try it. It's likely to be 50 plus people, 50 plus firms or more, could be 70 with all the filed subbidders. So and we're letting Hill do that. And we can ask that they get it out as soon as possible.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea to try to save any days you can, because it's going to be a tight squeeze to get everything ready for that fall town meeting. Just a suggestion.
Yeah, but we're still targeting the bid document release date of the 1st of September, so that EH+A has as much time as possible to prepare those documents. So even though they're notified, they won't be able to access the bid documents yet.
True. Okay. It's going to be a tight squeeze, no matter what.
Okay. George, if your camera is not
Yep.
on, if that matters to you. There you go.
Now,
We can see you now, George.
thanks.
Welcome to the meeting.
So it's a wonder you can see me. My wife is now 3 weeks after full knee replacement and I'm exhausted.
Well, hopefully she's doing well.
She's coming along very well, but it's a lot of work for her and for me. If I doze off in the meeting, you'll know why.
Okay, Ken,
Anyway.
Hank.
All right. Anything else on the prequels?
Nope.
All right. One of the things we've been discussing, as you know, we've got some alternates for generators. The original scope is basically a plug where you can roll up a portable generator, plug it in, and it works just like a generator would for the if you had it in the building. Then there's two generator options. One it's a little bit smaller than the other. The larger one handles more of the functions. The IT folks there at the school wanted their MDF room to run and a few other things, superintendent's suite and some other odds and ends. So there's a larger generator that's an option. And then we were asked to look at batteries, which would accomplish about the same coverage as the generator would. These prepackaged sets, it's Hank, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's roughly an 8 by 10 by 8 cube, if you will, that has the batteries in it. There's a step down transformer, some other bells and whistles that are necessary to get it down to the, going from direct to alternating current. So part of the cost estimator's job will be to price out that option. This is being done to sort of make the building net zero, where we don't have to bring in a gas line to run the generator, albeit hopefully you never have to run the generator except to test it once a week. But we're asked to give that a look, and we will. We have some of the options lined up, and again, the cost estimators will be working on that to price those three options. Obviously, if we're going to take the battery, we reject the two generator ones. So we'll see how that pans out in the bidding process, and we may decide after the estimating process that it's too rich for our blood, but we'll see what it comes back at. And on the generator, we just received the initial sound report today. I haven't really had a chance to fully digest it, but we'll be have to go through the same steps that we did. If you recall, we had to go through the sound study with the generators to the communication towers, albeit these generators would be much bigger than the ones we have at American Tower and over at Cogswell.
Plus, they're not much closer to residential.
Yeah, what we were talking about with the one, surprisingly though, the one at American Tower, Stuart, was closer than I thought it was because of those new apartments that were built on, I think it's 2nd Ave, over behind there. But I don't know how the school/church plays into this, because obviously it's not a residence. There's no one there at night, which is when the study, the low point of the study that you kind of work off of. So I got to have some conversation with Dave Roach on how that is handled. So more to come on that, but obviously we've got time. We know what the options are. It's just a matter of what we have to do to shield the sound should it need to go that route.
Okay, we got 3 questions. Ken, we got Barry,
Yep.
Erwin, and Mike.
Yeah, you're gonna have to help me because I don't have my
that's fine,
my
that's
screen
fine.
up, my
So
picture.
Barry,
Yeah, I just want to keep in mind that the battery option does not have the same full load duration, obviously, as a gas powered generator. We do not have to pipe a gas powered generator. We could have a day tank up to I think several thousand gallons potentially that would sit at the base of the generator, so we would not have to pipe natural gas, and we would just have to refill that. But yeah, I just wanted to make sure that everybody's aware that the battery option does not have the same full load duration as obviously a gas powered generator.
Yeah, if I could just add to that. So there was a Zoom, I think, discussion a couple of weeks ago with our electrical engineer brought in a specialty consultant who does these batteries. And what came out of that is that for the size of a unit that could fit on our site, this 8x10 assembly, it would be about 8 to 10 hours is the duration you'd get for the kind of load we're talking about for the server room and the minimal heating and the some of the other spaces.
Yeah, and it would be targeting if the building, if the power failure occurred during winter time, it would be targeting keeping the building above 50 degrees as a priority until such time, if it were to run out within that 8 to 10 hour time frame, then an emergency generator would need to be pulled over and plugged in. And as you may recall, that plug point is what is currently at the cath. And Barry, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you're looking at putting in a permanent generator for the center at the Heights now.
Yep, correct. That's that's going to be in design this year.
Erwin?
Deborah answered my question, which I guess reinforces my concern about the time limitations on the battery. But we'll have these discussions later, I'm sure.
Okay. Michael?
Just, in terms of the costing, obviously all the noise stuff has to be dealt with, but doesn't have to be dealt with if you have batteries. Clearly all that goes away. So you don't have to worry about it. I also, what's the actual use case? I mean, Hank, you mentioned the 50 degrees in winter over a certain number of hours. And, there's the school server, for however long that has to be on. But, what are we anticipating? I mean, how often do we anticipate these failures? I certainly don't want to bring in a gas line. I see you could have a huge tank, but that has other implications.
Yeah, there are those trade-offs. We do have, as Ken mentioned, the preliminary acoustical analysis. From our discussions with others, what we found is that many communities actually utilize the battery for peak shaving.
That was gonna be my other observation, that there's some opportunities to get value out of the batteries.
Yeah, and Barry, I know you're looking into that and exploring those issues with Eversource now. When peaks occur, I guess you're being asked to offload some buildings or portions of buildings in order to reduce the demand. I don't know what the payback would be for that, however.
We at the end of the year, they calculate how much load we shed during those peak hours when we get the 30-minute demand notice. But, obviously I can't use batteries in schools with massive rooftop units. When I shut those down, nothing's going to start them back up without 480 volts. But this building would be perfect, as Michael said, for that load shedding. For a building like this would definitely benefit from, the batteries would be used more for load shedding than there would be for, hopefully, for backup from losing normal power. But definitely worth looking into.
And there's a whole economic analysis about load shedding. By reducing the peak load, then that reduces your monthly rate, your monthly charge. Michael, I'm sure you're more familiar with that than I. And so that could have financial benefit over the long term, but it's, I think, difficult to make that calculation right now.
Okay, so Ken and Hank, that's the generator. Do you want one more item, or do you want to go to the moving?
I see Richard has his hand up as well.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Richard, go ahead.
Yeah, no, just to add to the question of the load shedding, another factor I would think would have to be another consideration would have to be the wear and tear on the equipment. If you're using it on a daily basis for load sharing, it would seem to me that the battery life will decline over time, and that's another cost that potentially needs to be factored into the equation. Just let me throw that out there as a comment.
Yeah, what we heard from this other consultant is that the estimated battery life is around 10 years. But they are improving both the technology and the duration. So 10 years from now, we might be able to get a much more efficient battery.
Anything else? Yeah.
So the schedule for the cost estimate, we plan to receive those estimates at the end of this week. We'll go through our internal reconciliation with BH+A, and Barry, you're welcome to sit in on that. And then we'll be bringing those numbers, sending those numbers back to the committee for the meeting on the 11th of July. So that meeting on the 11th, we want to have a continued discussion about what the estimated additional funding requirements would be for town meeting. As you recall, at annual town meeting, we had anticipated the need for an additional $2 million. And I haven't seen costs coming down anywhere during the intervening 6 months. So we'll have that discussion. I think that cost estimate will form the basis for the additional request. And then it'll be updated within a week or two prior to special town meeting, once we have the actual numbers in hand.
Again, a request would be, as soon as you're finished with them, could you send them to us so we have a maximum amount of time to review them?
Certainly. I assume you want us to go through the reconciliation first.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
But as much time as we can get, I think would be helpful.
Okay.
It's hard to do it sometimes on a weekend, especially. So if we have a few more days, that'd be even better, but I don't know if you've got enough time in there. But certainly after the reconciliation is required, really.
Okay. We'll get those out as soon as possible.
You have your hand up, Lynn?
I was just gonna comment. I was gonna back up Hank. I have not seen anything under 22%, as high as 27% in terms of increases, and we're seeing more and more clients having to either find more money or cut their program. So I would just say, get ready, because it's gonna be a tough number, I think, for most folks.
Right.
Okay. Hank, Ken, we good? We got 2 voting items?
Yep. Well, yeah, you got a 4 invoices, I think.
We got 2 invoices for Emory, for Hillside.
Got,
So
I think there's 3. I think there's the Hill International is for Emery Grover also. So you got 2 invoices for Emery Grover and then 2 for Hillside.
correct.
BH&A has 3 invoices total, and then there's a Hill International invoice.
Yeah, but we're separating that out, correct? 'Cause we haven't gone over the Hillside update.
Well, it's all the same project. The funds all come out of the same pool, so I had not planned on, when I do these meetings going forward, I had not planned on split, I had 2 sections in the agenda, but it'll all be the same project. The
Okay,
budget is
well,
all the
I guess
same
my question
project.
is, do you have a separate status update for Hillside based on the agenda?
Just all I've got, and the reason why it's not on the agenda is because I didn't have it Friday when I sent out the agenda, but I received the initial schedule from the contractor. I have not had a chance to fully digest it, but basically they're starting in earnest on Tuesday, and their schedule takes them through just before Thanksgiving, which is when they expect to be substantially complete, which is about 2 weeks ahead of the contract deadline and about a month ahead of the anticipated move date over the Christmas vacation. I'm
Okay,
still
so-
working. I
So
still have
in
to work
terms
with
of our
them.
meeting here, the agenda, we just finished up with Emery Grover. We got 2 voting items. So is that the Hillside update now, Ken and Hank? And so now
Yep.
we're gonna collapse that.
Yep.
So if there's no other questions on Hillside, I'll move to all voting items. I don't see any hands raised or heads nodding, shaking. Okay. All right, so let's just go through the invoices if we can. For the Emery Grover, we have 2. The first one up for approval is BH&A for the May 2022 services for $133,014. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you, Richard. Any questions? Hearing none, seeing none, coming to the roll call. Richard,
Aye.
Erwin,
Aye.
Lynn,
Aye.
George,
Aye.
Michael,
Aye.
and the chair is aye. Second invoice is for Hill International, May 2022 services for $682.50 coming out of the miscellaneous budget. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second.
Thank you, Erwin. Any questions? Seeing none, coming to the roll call. Richard,
Aye.
Erwin,
Aye.
Lynn,
Aye.
George,
Aye.
Michael,
Aye.
chair is aye. Okay, moving to the Hillside invoices, there's 2 for those. They're both out of the architectural budget, so I'll put them both together for approval. Put forth BH&A services for February 2022 for $51,300. And the second invoice for BH&A for May 2022 services for $7,175 for both totaling $58,475 coming out of the architecture budget. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you, George. Any questions? Seeing none, hearing none, coming to vote. Richard,
Aye.
Erwin,
Aye.
Lynn,
Aye.
George,
Aye.
Michael,
Aye.
chair is aye. Okay, great. That wraps up Emery Grover agenda item and the Hillside renovation agenda item. Thank you to the user group. And we will move to the last of the main topics, future studies and projects. Hank?
Yes, no, I did send around a more detailed schedule that you had asked for.
Yep.
Did everyone receive that?
And just while everybody's sort of getting ready to respond to that, I just asked Hank, I'd ask if we just get that sent out with the agenda every week or once a month. Excuse me, not every week, every meeting or once a month. What that is it just gives us a perspective of all projects that we have underway and then any upcoming projects. I think it's just a good way to reference. So hopefully you got that Hank sent out earlier.
I can try to share my screen. It is a little bit small, but let's give it a try.
And I also asked Hank if we could just keep track on those projects, especially when it comes to these subcommittees, who's on what, so we know.
Yep, and that's so can you see that?
I can see it. I don't know if it's too small for others.
Well, I'll keep enlarging and then so I'll just start from the top and the police fire obviously is in closeout. Want to remind everyone that there is the dedication this Thursday, the 30th. We'll be starting at fire station number 2 at 4 o'clock and then moving over to public safety headquarters at 5 o'clock. Ridge Hill, as you know, we will have to rebid that and also prepare a warrant article for additional funding, which will probably be in the range of $225,000 based upon the the 3 bids that we did receive. The Hillside renovations, that has already more detailed schedule. Ken is reviewing, and we'll try to consolidate that and bring it back to you at the next meeting. Emery Grover, likewise, we just talked about the RFQ and the process we're going through for the bidding, with bid documents available on the 1st of September, targeting a special town meeting on the 24th. The solar, JCB Solar, we have finally gotten the consolidation plan for the parcels there. So with that, and also with the submittal of the acoustical analysis that was completed and submitted to planning, we are in the process of getting our final closeout and have a permanent C of O as opposed to the TCO. The DPU, Department of Public Utilities, is still reviewing the application to allow 2 solar installations on the same property. We don't know what their schedule is. All we've heard is that everything is delayed. Given that the majority of the PBBC's, the committee's work, will be completed once that DPU determination is provided, we will probably be recommending that the installation, the PPA agreement, and monitoring of that installation be handed over to the Building Maintenance Department, to the DPW, who are the controllers of that building at this point. And but we'll have further discussion on that once we have a better idea of what the DPU schedule is. Then Pollard locker rooms, again, that's something that we'll be discussing further with Barry. You had a preliminary presentation on that, and it's going into design development at this stage, and the target is to get bid documents out this year, with an award in like the first of the year in January, and then construction in the summer, next summer, the summer of 2023. On the school master plan, Dave Davison is working this summer on that updated financial analysis. And Stuart, I think that it would behoove Michael, the chair of the school committee, finance committee, PBBC, and select board, to have a chairs meeting early in September to discuss next steps. Particularly if it's the school committee's intent to make the application for this SOI in January of 2023. The school theater sound and light study, that RFQ has been posted. We did have a walkthrough. It has met with limited response. We are expecting the responses this coming Thursday on the 30th. We'll be reviewing those. And I think that Ann Galati is the committee representative who will be reviewing them with us, and then we'll be coming back on the 11th to, after review of those submittals, on the 11th to ask for the appointment by the PBBC, so that project could move forward with working groups and with options later in the year. And it's not, and hopefully a final report by January, so that a warrant article could be prepared prepared for annual town meeting in 2023. So Anne will be the PBPC representative on that for the selection. I can highlight her. On the Center for the Heights Space Utilization Study, we're preparing the RFQ this week, or preparing the advertisement to go out this week. And the intent is to then have a walkthrough. So it would be released on the 7th. We'd have a walkthrough on the 14th, and the documents, the responses would be due on the 28th. And the selection appointment would be then on the 8th of August with this committee. Again, I think that Tim McDonald and Barry, if you want to, oh, maybe I should back up. Michael, did you have a question? I see your hand is up.
Yeah, just wanted to ask on that auditorium study. If it comes to town meeting next May, maybe it's early because we don't know how long the work would take, but is there an anticipated timing for the work to be done? Because if it comes to town meeting next May, I would imagine you can't have the work done that summer. Do you try to do it during vacations during the year? Do you have to wait another year for the work to be done? Or do we just not even know that yet?
Yeah, we don't know that yet. I anticipate that it'll be phased. There are 3 schools that are involved. So Newman High School and Pollard are the 3 auditoriums, and this committee and Anne and Leanne really need to drive the bus on which is the highest priority, and whether that amount of work could be done all at one time. I suspect that this, like many other things, would have a long lead time on ordering. And it also depends on if there's any associated electrical or structural work that would need to be done for those installations. But and I have also heard that there may be some fundraising going on, where there have been offers for fundraising. So that would all need to be factored in.
That means probably a lot of work within the schools in the spring timeframe, because it's not just Leanne and the others, it's also the principals and figuring out, disruption of buildings and what's going on. But it would be in the spring when we at least have an idea of what the work looks like, right? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Michael, you're gonna need our support as well, so reach out. I know you guys are driving the boat, but we're here for you.
Oh, I know.
To support you, so reach out and let us know when you need us.
Yeah, I'll talk to you. I'm just realizing, as you think about working in 3 auditoriums, there's a lot of folks, your folks, obviously everyone here, but there's also the principals, and thinking about, how long do things take? Do you have people working while the kids are in session? You don't use the auditoriums. I mean, they just need to start thinking about that, but there should be plenty of time to do that in the spring once we know the scope of the work.
Yeah, I think the goal would be to do the work over the summertime. Summer times, but that might be the summer of 2024.
Yeah, and that's just given how long this has been sitting around, there may be some incentive to try to move that up.
I don't think that we could get it funded in May and try to expect to do anything in the summer of 2023.
That would raise the question of, is the work of such that it would actually, one could consider doing it during the year? So,
yeah.
Okay, we have time for that. I just want to make sure that we talk to Dan Land, starting to think about that.
Okay. So the Center for the Heights Space Utilization Study, if it's acceptable with this committee, I think that it'll be Tim McDonald and Barry who sit in on that pre-selection committee. Both of, now let me think. Is Tim a resident of town?
No.
I don't think so.
No.
I volunteered also to do that.
Yes, so Erwin, we will need you on that.
Okay.
Selection subcommittee, and the documents will be due on the 28th of July. And so we'll try to plan a subcommittee meeting that first week in August, so that we can come back with a recommendation to the full PBBC on the 8th of August.
This is the first I'm seeing that I'm going to be away the 31st to August 7th. So I don't know if we could somehow work around that.
Yeah, the workaround could be a Zoom and all digital, or we just say, well, we'll slow it down and we'll target the meeting on August 22nd and give ourselves more time.
Okay.
So let's discuss that offline, whichever
Okay.
works for you. And I guess we'll have to wait and see. We did ask Dave Davison if any of these could be handled by the on-call architect teams, and he indicated that all of these we would have to go out to a separate RFQ because of the scale of the potential work and the scale of the fees associated with the various projects. Ironically, he indicated that the last one on the list, the Public Works Facilities Improvement Study, could probably use a on-call architect because he doesn't see any anticipated work on that coming out in the next 5 years, just because of the long-term capital plan within the town. So Erwin, that's great. We'll put you on that CAF committee.
Okay.
And I'm sure that Tim will want to participate in that. And Barry, do you want to participate on that subcommittee as well?
Yes, please. Yep.
Okay. Okay. Then the library space utilization study, Kim Hewitt will be one of the representatives. They are having their meeting on the 12th of July to talk about who will be the other representative. That is the library trustees. So we're anticipating that the RFQ would run a couple weeks, maybe even a month later than the CAF study. And depending on who the second appointee is, we may need one member from this committee to sit on that selection subcommittee. Because we do need to have somebody who's a resident of town. So while I'm going over the other ones, you all can think about who wants to go to the library.
Hank, I'll do any of them. I've done all these project types, so I'm perfectly comfortable in any of those groups.
Okay, that's wonderful, Lynn. Thank you.
I mean, if somebody's excited to do it, knock yourself out and I will fill a gap that's available.
Greatly appreciated. The next one is the Broadbento and Elliott RTU replacement. We are actually trying to run that one parallel to the CAF study, with the RFQ getting advertised this week and the documents being available next week on the 7th, a walkthrough on the 14th, and the documents due on the 28th. So Barry, I know that one is very near and dear to your heart. So you're automatically nominated for that one.
Excellent.
But Don't know if there's anyone else who feels very interested in that topic. I suppose, let's see, since it is a school project, there would likely need to be somebody from school committee appointed as the second user rep. Michael, I don't know if you've had that discussion with school committee.
No, we haven't. We'll talk about it. I'm sure, one of us can do it. I mean, Ann or myself, whatever.
Okay, so we would need to have somebody on this committee or a resident of town. So that could be somebody from school committee.
So we can, yeah, I'm obviously, if I do it, you're covered there. If Ann does it, you'll need a volunteer, right? So,
Yeah.
I mean, I'll talk to her, but
Yeah,
if
let us
it's
know. I think,
preferable, I don't mind doing it. If that will simply simplify things, one less thing for someone else to do, and then Barry can be part of it.
Yeah. And we are having a discussion later this week with Dan Gudekanst and Kate Fitzpatrick just about some of the load sharing going on between building maintenance and building design and construction.
Yep.
So
I think Hank also too is that after this, if we just reconcile what you've got here, we still have some gaps. I could reach out to Roy and also Jean, because I think we should be able to get some coverage from the committee.
yeah, and I think there needs to be a minimum of 3, and certainly Barry and I can be 2 of those 3, but it's best to have somebody from the committee.
Yeah.
And or the user group representing the committee.
Yeah.
And then so in both of those instances, we would be looking, I think, to get at annual town meeting, we would be looking to get funding for the detailed design. And in the case of the sorry, I can't do a split screen here. In the case of the RTU replacement, we might be looking for construction funding as well, because the funding on the RTU replacement does currently include the full design through CDs. The construction of that, in prior discussions with Barry, will probably require 2 summers just because of the scale of the construction. And so the first summer would be summer of 2024 and then summer of 2025. We will also have to be going through a full energy report and analysis. That'll be key to understanding whether we look at converting to all electric systems, what the cost implications are of that, and what the backup power needs are of that. And whether, I think so far, we're looking at having the designer review 3 different options. One is removing the guts of the existing boxes of the RTUs and just upgrading the interior components. The second would be a like-kind exchange, but would, by energy code, would require an energy recovery wheel. And then the third would be a full all-electric system for both of those buildings, supplying both heating and cooling. And that would likely have a much broader impact. And so we would be looking at cost estimates at each stage during the process.
You've also got very long lead time items there.
Yeah, I would I would expect we'd be at least 6 months out, perhaps even a year on the long lead.
Yeah, it's crazy out there. I know that if you want a very large heat pump these days, it's 6 to 12 months.
Well, somehow our smaller heat pumps that we're putting into Hillside are 12 weeks, I guess. So we're lucky there, but I guess it's the scale issue.
Have you had them delivered?
Not yet.
Okay,
That's the-
then don't
that's
count
the
on
key.
it don't count on it until you have, I mean, I put in an order for a heat pump for my house, and that was 4 months ago. It was supposed to be delivered last week. They still don't know when it's coming.
Uh-oh.
So it's
Must be a Mitsubishi.
You'll also have to arrange for a security detail once they do arrive.
it's definitely a Mitsubishi, but they've been coming in probably maybe a month or two late, if you're lucky.
Well, we have two sitting over at Hillside today that are repurposed from fire station number 2, temporary fire station. And Barry, maybe we'll need to disconnect 2 from the Emery Grover when they don't need air conditioning this winter and haul them over.
You may need to. I mean,
They're fairly new. They're only a couple years old, so we could probably that's a good idea, Hank.
Yeah, the lead times are just crazy right now. And so I'd expect a delay. But you
Okay.
can factor that into the schedule.
Yeah,
All right.
and then the last study is the DPU study, DPW study, an update of the facilities improvement plan that was done now 10 years ago. And that RFQ wouldn't start until after special town meeting. And likely there'd be no long-term action taken on that for a number of years. So, Stuart, I think that kind of wraps up the summary here.
Great.
That's great. And then we'll have Michael, if you can have further discussion with the school committee regarding the appointments for the school projects, that'd be great.
Do that.
Great. Thanks, Hank. That's what I wanted to see is just I think it's good for the committee to see the scope of what we're dealing with and timelines and everything else. And I think if you and I can just reconcile probably tomorrow, just on the reps that need to be there. And then if we've got gaps, we'll go to work this week or whenever to make sure we get the right coverage because of so many different studies. Okay, great.
Never seems to slow down, does it?
Well, I thought we were back in February and March, but boy, did it fool us, right? All these studies. But anyways, all right. We have one voting item. Anything more, Hank, or anybody else on this schedule? Hopefully it was helpful for everybody and everybody can just keep this as a cheat sheet for going forward.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. We have one voting item if I can, and then we'll go to the other business. One voting item is relative to the Ridge Hill demolition. It's the Dorr and Whittier April and May 2022 services coming out of the architectural budget. So I'll put forth the $2,500 invoice for payment. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you, Erwin. Any questions? Hearing none, seeing none, coming to the vote. Richard?
Aye.
Erwin?
Aye.
Lynn?
Aye.
George?
Aye.
And the chair is aye. I don't think we have any user person here, Hank, do we?
Barry, aren't you? I think you are.
Yes.
Barry is a user group representative.
So Barry?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right. So that takes care of all the invoices for our meeting. So we'll go to the other business. just a couple of, I hope, small topics. One is, I believe our next meeting is in person. Am I correct, Catherine?
Yes, I believe, no,
No.
the July 11th is still Zoom. The
Yeah.
15th is the cutoff date. So after the 15th of July, we're person unless other
Thank you.
option.
So that, but the next meeting after that is,
Is the 25th of July.
so the 25th, if you guys can note, the 11th is still Zoom, so that will be our last Zoom meeting. Just want to make sure that people are aware. Okay, the only other topic is, Hank, what you and I spoke about, if I can bring that up.
Please.
Okay, so I don't know if those on the committee at the beginning of the public safety project, particularly as it relates to Fire Station 2, there was a sign in front of the old station for the Kiwanis and the various, I think there was 2 or 3 groups in the town. It said, "Welcome to town of Needham," and the seals of those various groups were on it. It was agreed to, there it is. It was agreed that the sign would be removed and stored properly until the end of the project, Lions Club, the Needham Club, and all that stuff. And unfortunately, the sign through various steps ended up getting put in a different place and eventually was damaged and thrown out by DPW. I believe we committed as a project to having that sign being taken care of. So I believe that that sign is in our responsibility to get it back to what it was before. I think we probably have a conversation with DPW because once they took it over, it was not stored or it was not protected properly. I think we can have that conversation. Purpose of bringing it up tonight, I think, is twofold. My immediate reaction is just my opinion. I thought I would just at least get a little bit of thought out there, and then probably in the July 11th or the July 25th meeting, we have a more dedicated conversation to it. But as much as the sign was nice in front of Fire Station 2, I think with the Fire Station 2 now, and the way it's designed and it's placed on the landscape, I wouldn't want to see another sign in front of that. Now, maybe it gets placed a little bit to the side. I understand the various groups that are out there had investment in the sign. They want to represent themselves. I think the town Welcome to Needham really belongs closer to Muzzy because that's where the town line sort of starts versus instead of Fire Station 2. So one, I would just put in the committee's thinking, we have a responsibility to get the sign back to or get it replaced. And second, is there a concern? Is there any level of discussion around where that sign should go? I suspect those various groups have an issue with not just the sign really being damaged and getting replaced, but also probably feeling it should go in front of Fire Station 2. It's just my opinion, but I don't feel anything should go in front of Fire Station 2. It's a nice setup. It shouldn't be cluttered with all this other stuff. But then again, that's why I wanted to bring it up and have the committee. We could spend a few minutes now, 5 minutes or so. I really don't want to bog down the rest of this meeting. I wanted to put it out there. Hank, if you have any other comment, but I suggest we make it a topic of conversation on July 11th or the 25th.
Do you have a picture of it? I can't remember what it looked like.
Can you see this?
Oh, yes.
I agree wholeheartedly, Stuart. It's just a block to a view.
Yeah, it in terms of where it used to sit, it was over toward the side of the apartment buildings. So it was not directly in front of the fire station. If you know where that new Liberty tree was installed, it was down in that area. And if it were to go on this site again, then I think we would want to put it again back down in that area. Not directly in front, not near the changeable sign that has been installed in front of the building. But if the project paid for it and you're recommending it be installed in Muzzy at the Muzzy site, I would just remind people that there will probably be 5 years, three to 5 years before that construction is realized, with significant refurbishment of the roadways in that area.
Yeah, I know Richard's got his hand up and Erwin does. I don't want to get into solutioning. I just wanted to put it out there. I think it's a very nice sign, but I think there's a question out there. But Richard, you have your hand up, and then Erwin.
Yeah, Stuart, just to provide some context, that was a joint effort. The Welcome to Needham sign, not only that main sign, but also the one on Dedham Avenue coming in from Dedham, also the sign on Great Point Avenue coming in from Wellesley. Those were all joint ventures, if you will, of the Exchange Club, the Rotary Club, Lions to some extent, and the Women's Club. And I'm sure I'm heartbroken to learn of this news that the sign was mishandled. I'm mad at myself for not following up on that early on in the project. I completely forgot about it when we were getting into the depths of the project. But be that as it may, it's done. I do believe it is our responsibility to make amends to those organizations. They did put a lot of money into that project. I can look up what the cost was in that era, and I can look up who actually built it, if that person's still around. But I'm sure it's not going to be inexpensive. And I just simply, I'm very, very disheartened by the news I've heard tonight.
Yeah.
With that.
Yeah. Erwin?
Just real quick, I don't think it should be in front of the fire station, but Richard mentioned the other entrance to Needham on Dedham Avenue. Is there a similar sign there now? And if not, is that where this sign could go?
It's a streamlined Welcome to Needham sign with no community service organizations listed, and that was really, it was originally going to be a duplicate of that sign at the Heights, but it became prohibitively expensive, and this was probably 20 years ago, maybe 15 years ago. So who knows? It was just too expensive for the combined efforts of those community service organizations to replicate that sign. So they decided, okay, the Heights Fire Station area was really considered to be the gateway into the community. We've talked about that many times over the Fire Station 2 project. It is certainly, I think, the community would recognize it as such. And again, I'm not wedded to the fire station site, but certainly I think we do need to find a proper location.
Barry?
So obviously you can't, I mean, Hank brought up a good point about putting it closer to the Muzzy site, plus you need planning approval. The other thing is putting those emblems on the LED currently that scrolls through that says welcome to Needham. I'm not sure if you can do that or not, but it was just something that came to mind. And also to speak on behalf of DPW, if we didn't protect the sign responsibly, then we should be responsible for replacing it. So I just want to put that out there.
Yeah, we'll have that discussion. That's fine. Thanks. Michael?
I know you don't make this a long discussion, but the tall, thin sign is actually reasonably suitable to go at a place like the end of the property there. I mean, the long sign that's in Dedham, it's a wide kind of landscape one, and that one you'd have a hard time putting somewhere on the property. But I think this because it was tall and thin with each of the names of the groups, you might be able to put it at the end of the fire station property, and it wouldn't impede. It wouldn't impede the view. It wouldn't look as out of place because it'd be almost like a street sign going in. You may be able to get away with that because I don't think you can put it. I mean, you sort of need one in the Heights. And if I am a member of one of the organizations, I would not be pleased with the suggestion to have it somewhere other than in the Heights there. And I don't know whether you can wait 5 years for the Muzzy thing to go through. So you might want to think about that's a possibility.
I think we have to take it offline and come back to the 11th and 25, have more specific discussion. I think the sign is nice. It needs to go somewhere. This community needs an entrance, but I feel like it needs to be somewhere where people can see it. So we should have that discussion, or those groups should be brought in and have a discussion. I think the only recommendation I'm putting to everybody's thought process is just right there, the fire station is so new, why clutter it? But can we, Hank, Catherine, put it on the 11th or the 25th agenda? And
Yes.
then Hank, in the interim, if we can go back, maybe if Richard could help us figure out maybe what the cost is or whatever, because I think we have to have that discussion with DPW and then bring back to the committee a level of insight to what this cost is and what the potential options are for replacement and coverage. And then maybe, you know, Richard, maybe you help us, or Michael, maybe we go back and find a way without opening up Pandora's box, is get maybe some of those other committees, excuse me, those other groups that had inputs to where it was, and just see if there's some level of suggestions that we then, because I do believe, given the project, responsibility of that sign within the project, it's ultimately the PVC that has to make a recommendation and action, I believe.
And in terms of cost, we do have a preliminary estimate from Garrity Carve Sign Company, which is just under 9,000.
All right, so I think we'll just put that more formally to the committee and see how we handle it.
Okay.
Any other comments or voices until we get to the more formal agenda item? Okay, all right, thanks. I just wanted to make sure we got that out, that to start the process here. Again, no formal action tonight, no solutioning, just insight. Okay. Any other items on PVC, other business, Hank, or anybody else?
Look, just a reminder again about the dedication for the fire station #2 and public safety this Thursday. Make it if you can, 4 o'clock at the fire station #2, 5 o'clock at public safety. Obviously, there's more parking available over near the public safety building. You may need to park in the nearby neighborhood and walk over for fire station #2.
Also, I didn't know if people knew that Dennis Condon, Chief Condon, was retiring on Friday. This is the last day of work.
No. He said that, he said he would retire in a few years.
Well, that's the word we've gotten, is that he's retiring on Friday.
Well,
So you can say hi to him on the dedications.
that's a surprise. Is there a party for him?
I haven't heard.
The select board is apparently tomorrow evening at their meeting. They are honoring him and thanking him. So you can either Zoom in on that, or I guess attend that meeting if you want to. I don't know if there is some other more formal retirement party planned. We'd have to see whether Kate is planning something. I suspect there will be.
Yep.
Okay. Well, with that, I'll bring the meeting to a close and wish everybody a happy week and a happy 4th of July, certainly. It's the end of this week, and hopefully see everybody at the dedication in the interim.
Great.
Thanks all.
Good night.
Thanks.
Catherine,
Good night.
I could just do tomorrow. I could do tomorrow afternoon.